Hello everyone, we are going to study about funds, Consolidated Fund of India. Consolidated Fund of India. The Consolidated Fund of India is a fund where all the money received by or on behalf of the Government of India in the form of revenues, fresh loans, repayment of loans, etc. are deposited. Money can be spent out of this fund only with the approval of the Parliament. However, certain expenses have been charged on the Consolidated Fund of India and can be drawn without the sanction of the Parliament. Some of the expenses charged on the Consolidated Fund of India include number one, salary and allowances of the President and other expenses on his office, debt charges of the Government of India, salaries, allowances, and pensions of judges of the Supreme Court and High Court, salaries, allowances, and pensions of the Comptroller and Auditor General of India, sums payable as a result of judgment, decree, or award of a court or arbitral tribunal, other expenses declared by the Constitution or Parliament to be chargeable to the Consolidated Fund, Contingency Fund of India. The Contingency Fund of India was constituted through an Act of Parliament in 1950 in exercise of powers vested in it by Article 267 of the Constitution. The fund has been placed at the disposal of the President. He can make advance out of this fund to meet unforeseen expenses. However, these expenses must be subsequently authorized by Parliament and recovered through supplementary, additional, and excess grants. It may be noted that the state governments have also established their contingency funds, which have been placed at the disposal of the governor of the state. Indian foreign policy. No foreign policy exists in vacuum. This is true about India's foreign policy. The foreign policy of any country, India, including develops under certain considerations. National security is one such consideration for the strength of the armed forces and the armaments in the neighboring nations create relative security problems. Economic considerations also shape the nature of the foreign policy of a country. Liberalization and privatization having opened up our economy sought to new place for India in the global scenario, particularly under conditions of globalization. The energy insecurity forced us to have cordial relations as before with the Gulf nations. India's population has vast geographical size, her stable democratic polity, her emergence as a responsible nuclear power, and the like are our other considerations which help seek a rightful place for us in the community of nations. The foreign policy that India pursued after independence was that of non alignment, a mantra that we kept repeating till 1990 while our other related foreign policy features then included advocacy of anti-imperialism, anti-colonialism, anti-racism stance, opposition to racial discrimination, third world solidarity, global disarmament, faith in the United Nations system, though some of these features still constitute the bulk of our foreign policy, we have either deleted some or have regarded them as insignificant. Indeed, we have added certain others, including in particular an independent foreign policy stance, emphasizing our having an autonomy in decision making process on global matters, solidarity and empathy with developing countries, especially with Asian nations, a deep rooted conviction in peaceful existence and for the resolution of differences and conflicts through dialogue and diplomacy, and an urge on the necessity of developing a self reliant and technology strong India characterized by rapid economic development with social justice. With while all these above features have been constant in the present foreign policy formulations, some Other relative features significant in their own right may briefly be stated as under: protection of India's core national interests in the rapidly fast-changing international environment, creation of strong international campaign against terrorism, formation of a conducive international environment which supports India's economic growth in all possible fields, establishment of strategic ties with powers such as the USA, the EU, Japan, Russia, and China, strengthening and intensification of friendly and amicable relations with all the nations far and near, realization of the objectives of SAARC, elimination of terrorism, maximization of gains from regional economic organizations associated with India, addressing ourselves to environmental issue of climate change so to help advance the security and development of all nations, implementation of global disarmament, projection of a reformed United Nations so to make it a truly representative, responsive, responsible, and transparent international organization, and help build equitable relations between the developing and the developed nation and work for South South cooperation.